For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. I'm going to start out by saying Happy Canada Day to our Canadian friends. Big weekend, 150th birthday for, I'm going to say it, the greatest country in the world. All you Americans can say we live in the greatest nation in the world. Let's think about that since, January, whatever it was. But anyway, happy Canada Day. I'm going to take the first few minutes of the broadcast to tell you about something that is happening on Saturday, July 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now, if you are listening to this after that time, 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, you can still go to the website that I'm about to tell you and have a listen to the show that I'm about to tell you about. So I have two syndicated radio shows. Top of the Charts is a top 40 music show. The Open Road is a country music show. This podcast, which is a podcast, and we have a special broadcast called Canada Day Live. And again, if you're listening to this on the Friday when the show does go live, when this podcast goes live, I'm talking about something that's happening tomorrow. If you're listening to this after 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, July 1st, you can still go and listen to it, and spoiler alert, I guess, you're going to know what's happened. So, a few months ago, or maybe about 2 months ago, I had the idea. I was laying on the couch at home on a Sunday afternoon, of course not being social and out doing things. I was at home by myself on the couch watching Three's Company reruns, but something came to me, and I thought, this is Canada's, biggest birthday ever, and my audiences are American for the radio shows, and I don't really do anything produced specifically for Canada. So what can I do? I host music shows, and I thought, well, I could maybe do 2 hours of all Canadian music, which we did years ago for the Juno Awards, which is Canada's very, very low-end Grammys. And we actually lost 2 radio stations because we were waving the Canadian flag, figuratively, for 2 weeks straight on the shows. And the station didn't like that. Now, we're going back probably about 7 or 8 years. And it's funny because when I first started doing the show 11 years ago, Top of the Charts, I actually was very hush-hush about being Canadian because it was kind of like, whoa, we don't have Canadians on our airwaves. That's sort of the mentality that Canadians had, was that we can't penetrate we can't penetrate the border. Now everybody can, including Mexico, but it was a different story back then. And so we lost stations because it was like, hey, whoa, you're way too Canadian, and we're an American station, so we're dumping your show. Even though it was only 2 weeks. And when I say that it was 2 weeks, it was a 2-hour broadcast once each week. So we're talking 2 shows, and it was mostly Canadian music, which people didn't even realize was Canadian music until I told them. And what constitutes Canadian music in the country is if the writer, the producer, somebody high up in the production is Canadian. That's what makes music Canadian. I'm not saying that it's the artist is Canadian or whatever. There's criteria. So it was interesting that just by pointing out, hey, we're celebrating Canadian music this week, blah, 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 and really waving the Canadian flag on the airwaves as much as you can, that it was kind of seemed as threatening, and we were dropped by 2 stations. So we kind of dumped the whole, okay, let's stop talking about the whole Canada thing. Now I love it because Trump is president and people appreciate the fact that you're polite and you're Canadian. But so fast forward now to the couch. I'm sitting there going, what can I do? And I thought we could do 2 hours of music. I don't know. But we got to do something special because we play music on the shows every week. And this whole idea spun out in a matter of, I'd say, about 20 minutes. So I'm sitting there going, what can I do? What can I do? How about talk? We do 30 minutes on this podcast every week of talking. Okay, so maybe just an extended version of the podcast, and we do something talking about Canada. Like I've gone on all these location broadcasts where we've done travel tourism shows. You've heard them all here. Houston and Montreal and other places. What about showcasing all of those Canadian destinations and playing the clips from them and rehashing the content and posting the pictures and really focusing on the areas of Canada that I've visited? Whatever. It's not that great. Then all of a sudden it comes to me, what about doing interviews with music artists, Canadian music artists? Okay, great. Then I take it one step further. Wait, I'm going to get big Canadian artists from across the country. Okay? One step further. I want every province and territory represented. I'm going to speak with a music artist, some famous, some not quite so much. I'm going to talk with a music artist from every province and territory, that's 13 of them, in the country for this special broadcast. It's going to be a 2-hour show. Going to do this. What's the next step? No, I'm going to make it 2.5 hours, 150 minutes for Canada's 150th birthday. Brilliant. That's perfect. 2.5 hours. We're going to do these interviews. Wait, let's make it even more fun. Let's do it live. And, like on New Year's Eve when they're going from one time zone to the next and showing you what's going to happen? Let's do that. Let's start on the East Coast where it's later in the day. We'll work our way across the country on a live broadcast on Canada Day, talking with Canadian music artists about their favorite Canadian places, moments, music, things, what have you. And in that moment, the planning started immediately, and I started from my phone on the couch, firing off emails to publicists, artists that I know personally, and trying to line up a guest list. This was going back to about mid-May, I guess it was. And in about 2 weeks, we had it planned, we had some stuff pre-taped, we had it all mapped out, we had representation from every province and territory, and I was just like, this is going to be good. So, the culmination of all that work is happening on Saturday, July 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern at canadadaylive.ca, canadadaylive.ca. So again, if you're listening to this before that time, you set a note for yourself on your phone, whatever it is, to follow the live stream. It starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. If you're listening to this after the fact, you can still go to the website and actually just hit play and listen to the show in its entirety. So either way, if you missed the live stream, we've got it on there for you after the fact. I'm going to give you some of these names just to give you a bit of a tease here. We've got Alan Doyle. If you know the group Great Big Sea, that was from when I was a teenager. Alan Doyle. Natalie McMaster, great fiddler. Dean Brody, country singer. He was on our show a couple weeks ago, right? We were live in his dressing room. The Trues, great rock band. Susan Glukark, very, very wonderful artist that she's from my home province, or in that area anyway. Cody Prevost, has he been on? He's on this show when we first started doing the podcast, when we did a salute to Saskatchewan. He's a country artist. And Jimmy Rankin, if anybody knows the Rankin family from, again, Canadian music 20, 30 years ago. And Roch Voisine, great French-Canadian singer. Terry Clark, who is a great country artist, lives in Nashville now and is good friends with, like Shania Twain and Jan Arden and Celine Dion and all these others. And Bare Naked Ladies. You know Bare Naked Ladies. If I Had $1 Million, right? You know those songs. So, and Doc Walker, a Canadian country music group from my home province of Manitoba, also joining us, and a whole bunch of others. We've actually got more than 13 guests. Figure that out. But it's going to be a good time, and we are celebrating Canada. So if you feel patriotic and you're Canadian, because this whole campaign for 150 this year has been huge, and I think that it's brought a whole new national pride to people in this country. And I think it's great. And so we are now kind of feeling like that whole 4th of July thing that we see Americans doing with the flags and the fireworks and everything. Canada has really stepped up this year. And so a 2.5-hour broadcast chatting with all these great Canadian artists. And they're all such diverse genres too. Like, again, we've got rock, we've got fiddle, we've got folk music, we've got country, we've got just everything. We've got First Nations music. So it's really going to be good. And fingers crossed, again, a live broadcast it can be a little bit tricky, especially when you're dealing with, like I said, 14, 15 interviews that we're doing. You want to make sure that everything goes off without a hitch. So if you want to be on the edge of your seat to see if there's any major screw-ups, tune in to canadadaylive.ca, canadadaylive.ca, and it should be a really good time.
Airfares go up and down more than planes themselves. Pricearazzi.travel has you covered when flight prices change on Expedia.com. If the prices drop, you'll be sure to know about it. There's already so much to remember when you travel, and you shouldn't have to worry about paying more than you needed to on your flights. Let Pricearazzi.travel keep an eye on that for you. Your biggest concern should be if you've packed enough money to buy all the trinkets you really don't need, or if your swimsuit shows off enough skin in all the right places, or that while you are away, the kids have enough food in the kennel and that the dogs get to school on time. Wait, flip those last two. Simply register your email address with Prizzarazzi.travel and then book your flights on Expedia.com. Your itineraries are automatically sent to Prizzarazzi, and you could do your happy dance if the flight becomes cheaper in 24 hours. Better yet, you could actually end up flying for free. And who doesn't love free, right? Find out how to save on your Expedia flights at Prizzarazzi.travel. Avoid bank account turbulence and sign up now at Prizzarazzi.travel.
Jeremy Bradley here on the Scribble. I just need to check how much time we've got. Some time. All right. A funny story for you, and it's not even necessarily funny. I guess it could be funny for anybody hearing it. Annoying as all hell to me. So I love a good grocery shop. I think I've mentioned that here on the show before. I hate going to a mall and going into store after store after store, but picking up groceries. For some reason, I can go up and down every aisle and just spend 2-3 hours doing it. The groceries actually start to go bad in the cart because I'm in the store so long. So we had a family get together last weekend, and I'm nominated often to bring some food that doesn't need preparing, so I might have to bring the chips. I might have to bring, a box of crackers or something like that, just because I don't cook, and the family probably wouldn't want me cooking for them anyway. So I went to the grocery store with my mom. Now again, like I say, I enjoy grocery shopping, but not with my mom. And so it was Saturday morning. I was barely awake. So we're talking 9-ish, I guess it was, maybe about 9:30. And here I'm going to the store with my mom, and she hits me with the cart twice in the store, and then she's just running into things, like running into the produce shelves or the bins where they have the apples and things like that. And I just looked at her, I'm like, you've been driving a car for how many years? Is this your first time working a cart? Like, it was just maddening. And then this old guy ran into me as well. It was a nice day out, so I was wearing sandals, so smashed into the back of my heel with his cart. And I just looked at her and I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna go on a rant today. I'm not. I have to be pleasant. I'm in public. People in this city know who I am. And then we're going down one of the aisles, very narrow aisle anyway, and old woman pushing the cart. And there's also people, like, there's the two-way traffic, right? In an aisle like that, you stay to the right-hand side, and then the other people pass and go on the left. And it's like there's people coming down that side. So I'm sitting there going, do I pass? Do I kind of do I floor it and go in front of her and risk crashing into the people? Or what do I do? It was just maddening because we're stuck behind this woman, this old lady. And then she gets away from her cart and is now on the left. And so she's essentially blocking both sides of the aisle because her cart is on one side and she's on the other side looking at something. And so now two ways of traffic are being blocked by this old woman. And again, you just want to go and shove the cart out of the way or push her down or something. But you don't because there's surveillance cameras and you get in trouble. So that experience was one thing. And then my mom also said, well, I've got to go to this place and this place and this place as well. So I've been duped into grocery shopping at the one place, which is fine. It took about an hour, and it wasn't even actual grocery shopping like you'd get for stuff at home. This was just for a party, essentially. And now we're doing this whirlwind tour of every store in the neighborhood. Oh, well, I just have to run to the bank and update my bank book. Who uses a bank book and still gets it printed on that little piece of paper? You know, the little book you used to get, and it would print like 20 lines, and it shoots out the book to you, and you got to reprint it again? She still uses one of those, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God. I just wanted to get home. So then I do get home, and as I've got everything sort of lined up outside the back door, I'm just about to unlock the door, when all of a sudden this cat comes flying towards my front fence, which the front is chain link, and is kind of like flapping. And this car I could see in front of the house, I thought initially that somebody had thrown the cat from the car. But then I thought, why would somebody do that? Yes, I've heard of stories like that where they'll do it on a highway or something like that, but this is like in the front street of my, front of my house. And it took a second to realize, oh my God, this cat was hit by a car, and it came running up my front lawn. And it's basically now at my front gate, kind of like flopping on the ground. And this is where my afternoon, I was already in a pissy mood from the morning. Now I've got a cat dying on my front lawn, and I'm not making a joke here. It was maddening because what do you do in that case? Like, I don't own a cat. I've got 2 dogs. My dogs were still inside. I hadn't opened my door yet. And, like, do you I tried to approaching it closer, but I don't know, is this thing going to, like, scratch me and bite me or do something? Because, again, in that moment, you don't really know exactly what happened. And I noticed that a car had sort of slowed down and kind of stopped in front of my house, but then drove away. And then I realized, okay, this thing, but there's no blood anywhere. It's not like we're looking at this tragic scene of, blood gushing or whatever. You really didn't even know. It was almost like the thing was having a seizure on the ground. So I start to freak out going, okay, come on, and I'm talking to the thing. And ultimately, it died on my front grass. So then I start to get mad because I'm sitting there going, this is probably somebody's pet that they've had wandering through the neighborhood, and it's getting into so much trouble, right? It's doing its own thing. And that's something that's pissed me off for years, is the people that have their cat wandering around, going wherever, and not giving a crap enough about it to keep it indoors because things like this happen. It's going to get hit by a car. Well, your cat's not coming home tonight because it just died on my front grass, which is a very sad story to say, but it's the reality when people don't do that. I don't have my dog wandering in people's yards and running through the front street, but for some reason, cat owners feel that they're entitled to do this. So then I'm sitting there going, well, what do I do now? I don't want to pick this thing up and just like throw it in a garbage can. Like, what do I do? So I called the Humane Society. I wasn't one of those people that called the ASPCA in New York and said, hey, I'm in Canada, can you come and get this cat? Because I know that people do that. So I called the local Humane Society. They come and they asked, is it still alive? What's happening? I said, well, I think he's still alive, but like barely. I mean, again, I don't want to go near it and touch it. I'm not going to have gloves on or anything. So they said, we'll be there in about 20, 25 minutes. Well, he died on the way. And so they come. They bring a little kennel, they basically pick him up, put him in the kennel, and drive away. And I feel terrible because I'm sitting there going, oh, this thing just like died on my front lawn, like that's horrible. Now again, he's not my pet, he's not anything related to me, but I just feel bad. Like, your last moments are you're hit by a car and then you've got this human being standing over top you and you basically died. So once the carcass, the body was removed from my lawn, I was just like, you know what, I need to just take my dogs out for a walk. Let's just go, let's clear my head. That was too much to see. So I go and I start walking, and there's this woman. I've got music on when I walk my dogs, and she's talking. She's across the street, and I can see that she's talking in my direction. Didn't know if she was saying anything to me, and then we actually had to cross the street anyway, up a few steps, and she was standing there waiting, and I thought, okay, she's talking to me. People don't get that my dogs will jump at you. They'll knock you down. They're very excited dogs. They're not vicious by any means. And so I could sense that she was somewhat drunk or something. And I crossed the street, and then she starts swearing at me that let me see your dogs. I was like, I'm sorry. Normally people just kind of ask if they can see your dog or something like that. And here's this woman telling me, let me see your dogs. And I kept walking, and then she's swearing at me. And I thought, oh my God, what is going on today? So then I got home. We were on my street at that point. So then I get home, and I come in the yard, and both gates are open. The front and the back gate are both open. And I was like, somebody went through my yard at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Really? So now I've got to come home and like check my property. Is anything missing or any windows smashed? Like, what? It was just a day where, like I said, it started very early, grocery shopping. And then I'm dealing with all that crap. So then come 4 o'clock or so, whatever time it was when I got home, I was just like, I'm not going outside. I am not seeing the rest of the world tonight. I am just going to hang out at home and get into my own zone and do nothing. And that was what I did. So it was just a frustrating day. I've talked well longer than I was allowed to, so I'm going to wrap this up. We're going to go to a commercial break, and I'll be right back here on The Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. I'm certainly not a chef by any means. I've got to tell you this story because in my kitchen, in all honesty, first off, the microwave is never plugged in. I use it maybe 5 times in a year. Maybe. And that's probably rounding up to the nearest 5. And the stove, I actually have a stereo on one burner, not cooking it, by the way, it's just placed on there, and then an empty pot and some just, odds and ends, like the peel or the wrapper of something. That's kind of like a little mini garbage can on the stove. So 2 of the burners on the stove are basically storage, I guess you'd call it, or they're the landing place for other things in the kitchen. And then the 2 front burners, there's that really small one I have for a small pot if I'm making soup or whatever it is, and then there's the big one on the right-hand side where I have my frying pan if I'm grilling up like chicken or something. And so anyway, I'm not much of a cook, and I'll be the first to say I would much rather dine out and eat somewhere else or have somebody cook for me. There's even a sign on the wall in my kitchen that says I cook 3 meals, microwave, takeout, and delivery or something to that effect. And so I was concerned because I know that if you have, let's say, if you have more than a few appliances running at the same time, you can blow your breaker in the kitchen. And so I just remember that as a kid for some reason, and I'm in a panic because I'm using my deep fryer on I was making poutine. I'm Canadian. I was making poutine. So the deep fryer is on the counter, and then I was doing the I had garlic bread and chicken strips that I was doing in the toaster oven, and then I was making gravy on the stove, in a pot on the stove, and I thought, I've got like 3 appliances, fearing now that my kitchen is going to explode, or something is going to like start on fire, that I'm just using too much electricity and power, and it's just going to be a bad thing. So what do? I call my mom, because she's a kitchen person. And so I was like, Mom, I'm running 3 different things in the kitchen at the same time. Is this the problem? And so she started laughing because she said, obviously you don't cook, which is the truth, and she knows that. I do cook. I mean, I love doing chicken breasts. So I actually have 2 grills, and then I will also do them in the oven, in the toaster oven, or even on the stove in a frying pan. I'll cut them up in strips, and then I'll grill things like that. So I'm very, very good at chicken breasts. And potatoes. I love doing mashed potatoes or baked potatoes, just different kinds of potatoes as well. Those have been my 2 favorite foods since I was a kid. And so, I was freaking out that I'm going to blow up the house because I'm using too many appliances at one time. And so she's like, no, it's fine. So all that's going to happen is in your laundry room downstairs, the breaker is going to blow, and you just have to go and flick the switch, and then it's fine. It's really not that bad of a problem. But I was very concerned. And so here I am, almost 25 years old, 25 years old, and having my first real kitchen experience, going, all right, I'm going. And very rarely will I ever have 2 burners going on the stove at the same time, just because that would mean, again, that I'm having to make 2 things at one time, and I just don't do that. And I've got no problem with cooking. It's not an issue of not liking to. I just don't have the patience to do it. If it's going to take me 30 minutes or 45 minutes to make something that's going to take about 4 minutes to eat, I can't justify the time and the effort into it. If there's more ingredients than there are minutes that it takes to eat, if I've got to have a spice rack and all these other things, it's not worth it to me. That's just how I feel anyway. And so that's my philosophy on cooking. But I was zipping around the kitchen. I worked up a sweat because my deep fryer is on one end of the counter, and then the toaster oven is on another counter, and then the stove obviously is off on its own. And I was going back and forth because I've got to stir the gravy, go back to check the chicken to make sure that the strips are okay, and then open the tin foil of the garlic bread, make sure that's not burning, and then go back to the deep fryer to lift up the little basket and shake the fries. It's a workout. So I can say that I burnt off the calories that I had consumed with the poutine while I was making it. So there you go.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here on the Scribble. Gotta tell you, over the last few weeks, I'm kind of feeling really old. I'm turning 35 this year. You know, when I turn 30, everybody makes a big deal, right? Oh, the big 3-0, oh, you're over the hill, hey, old man. Honestly, I didn't feel that old at all. And my 30th birthday, we were in Nova Scotia. We were taping the radio shows there for summer travel programming. And I was like, hey, you know, we've got a crazy schedule. We're working 12-hour days, whatever it was. I wasn't exhausted at all, but I think also, too, I was kind of motivated because people were telling me that I'm old and I'm going to be slowing down and I'm going to have aches and pains that I just pushed myself that I didn't. So over the last little while, though, I find that I'm having a lot of naps. So when it comes to the weekend, and the days of the week, not the singer, when it comes to the weekend, I'm having a nap on the couch a Saturday afternoon. And then maybe again early Saturday evening. And I'm going to bed at about 10 o'clock on Saturday. And then Sunday I wake up at 9 o'clock, I'll have a bath, and then at 1 o'clock I have a nap on the couch again. So it's interesting though too, because then during the week sometimes if I get home in the evening, whatever it is, and when I come home the dogs will... we have this ritual, like I come home, they wait to go run upstairs to my bedroom, and then they wrestle. I sit on the bed and I get caught up on emails or whatever it is, and they run around and wrestle for about a good half hour or so. So what's happened lately though is I'm putting on TV and they're running around doing their thing, and then I kind of like, you know what, I'm going to lay back a little bit, I'm going to cover myself with the blanket, I'm going to grab a pillow, and I fall asleep until like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And so I'm sleeping for like 2-3 hours, wake up a little bit and for an hour and a half, and then I go to sleep again. But it's so crazy because nothing has, let's say that was Monday. So Tuesday rolls around. The exact same thing happened in my day. Like I don't really have any sort of extreme schedules during the week. So it could be the exact same day. Maybe I even did less that second day, but I don't need a nap at all. Like I did more that day, whatever it is. So it's crazy that you can be super, super tired the one day, take a nap, and then all of a sudden the next day be going until midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, I don't know what it is. So is this an age thing? Is it just me going, you know what, I'm just feeling like lazy crap today. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to lay here. But it's not even a matter of me tucking myself in and going to bed. This is a matter of just kind of, I'm going to use the term passing out on the couch. That's not what I mean, though, by fainting or anything, but I'm falling asleep. As though I'm just that exhausted that I need to sleep. I don't know. I'm one of the people that I laugh and go, I'm far from overworked. Trust me. Is it a 40-hour week for me? It's not. I'm not going to be one of those people that says I'm working all the time. There are some days where we have a 10, 12-hour day. But 40 hours a week, maybe. So is this an age thing? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Yes, we're on the Twitter. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. In our final remaining moments, again, CanadaDayLive.ca. If you are going to tune in, it's going to be a good time. Music artists from every province and territory in Canada celebrating Canada's 150th birthday live with me July 1st, 2 p.m. Eastern. It all starts CanadaDayLive.ca. Don't worry if you miss it, still go to the website. You can listen to the entire broadcast after the fact. We'll have it on there. Just click play. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Feel free to give me a shout anytime. It's always awesome hearing from you. Live at jbonair.com is my email address, live at jbonair.com. I will talk to you same time, same place next week. Happy Canada Day, happy 150, my Canuck friends, and happy 4th of July to you Americans. Bye-bye now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,